Imagine a society that is so convinced that numbers and mathematics hold the answers to everything in the universe that they started to worship numbers as a religion. Now, this is not the pitch for a science fiction movie. This actually happened on Earth 2,000 years ago. You are listening to the Creator Academy podcast. Now, in ancient Greece, they were already way ahead in their mathematics, okay? So they understood the concept of zero, they understood integers, which are counting numbers, and they also understood negative numbers. And the biggest craze at the time was the idea of the quotient, which was P over Q, okay? Every number that they can come up with could be represented as a quotient. For example, a number like the number 2 could be represented as 2 over 1. A negative number like -5 could be -5 over 1. A repeating decimal like 0.3 repeater could be represented as 1 over 3. And this man named Pythagoras came up with a discovery. Although he wasn't the first to discover it, he's the person who we accredit this discovery to, okay? So it is Pythagoras Theorem, which is the sum of the square of the two shorter sides is equal to the square of the longer side, okay? And back then Pythagoras is predominantly using the 3, 4, 5 triangle. So Pythagoras, other than being credited with Pythagoras Theorem, he also founded a Pythagoras school, okay? So his idea was that he would form this number worshipping school that had a slogan. It was called "All is Number." And the reason that they have this slogan is because they believed that everything in the universe could be explained as a number. And the quotient was what symbolized this idea, the idea that a quotient can represent any single number. Pythagoras was getting hugely successful with this school. It was gaining a lot of followers, and a lot of people were attending his classes and listening to what he was teaching. And one of his students was called Hypnosis. And Hypnosis told Pythagoras, well, I'm going to try and apply your Pythagoras theorem. I'm going to get a unit square, which is a square with 1 unit on each side, and then I'm going to cut it in half diagonally. So that will mean that I'll have a right angle triangle with 2 short sides, 1 unit length each. And according to Pythagoras theorem, the length of the long side is the square root of 1 squared plus 1 squared. And the answer is the square root of 2. Think about that for a second. The square root of 2 is it's a little bit awkward because we can't represent it as a quotient. Hypnosis had unexpectedly discovered the world's first irrational number, and this threw the whole mathematics world into turmoil in ancient Greece, because this went against everything Pythagoras was teaching. He's teaching that, well, everything in the world, every single number in the world could be represented as a quotient. But Hypnosis came up with a number that can't be represented as a quotient. And it has been strongly suggested that Hypnosis was forced to drown in the ocean because of this blasphemous kind of discovery, which is kind of scary when you think about it. And it turns out that irrational numbers are really helpful for us. Even though they don't fit into Pythagoras' religion, it has helped advance mathematics to what we know today. Thanks again for listening to the Creator Academy podcast. If you'd like to learn more, go to www.creatoracademy.com.au.